Hi, it's Vicky with Conde Systems Technical Support Department, and I am on a Mac OS 10.7.4, which is 10.7 Macintosh. We're going to do an install on the GXe7700n sublimation printer with ICC Profile Setup. ICC profiles are obtained through a support email to support@conde.com requesting a profile for your dye sublimation printer, and use your model printer in the information and your account information so that we can forward over your profile before you start the setup or call in for help with the setup. If you don't have a PartnerNet ID, make sure you get with your account manager about that so that you can log into PartnerNet, or they can explain what PartnerNet is and get you all set up. So your account manager handles all your account logins and permissions here at Conde, so make sure you get with them. I'm going to do the install on the actually the configuration settings on the GX7700, the new dye sublimation printer here at Conde, using Photoshop 10 Elements, and this will apply for other Elements versions and how you configure the driver settings with Photoshop and Mac using the 7700 and ICC profiles. So I have already downloaded my profile from conde.com and then support, and then logging into PartnerNet and grabbing my driver. If you don't know which operating system you have, click on the Apple at the top left and then click on About This Mac, and it's going to show you your version. Okay? So you want to make sure that you grab the right driver from the PartnerNet site under Support, and then log in, and then go to Rico, and then go to Drivers, and then go to Mac Drivers and find your model printer and your operating system version, okay? And download it and save it to your desktop where you'll execute and run it. It's a driver DMG file, and that's your driver software. And then you'll have to reboot, and at the time of reboot, when your Mac is off, you'll plug your USB cable up and turn it back on. You will find your driver in your system preferences under the print and scan, and you'll see it sitting there under your printer list. You should see a green light if everything is done correctly, your inks are charged, and your USB cable is connected properly, and the driver is installed correctly. You'll see it. You'll be able to go to your print queue and your options and supplies, do a test print from your nozzle check under utility, and opening your printer utility, you can do a test print to see and verify that you are communicating with your Mac and that the driver is talking to the Mac. Okay? I'm going to X out of this. Now, in order to configure your settings for this printer, what you have to do is open your digital imaging software. And from there, I'm using the Photoshop Elements 10, and I'm going to click that. It's open. Now, let's go back one step. Now, I have installed my ICC profile, so you want to make sure you do it as well before you open the application. I've already installed mine. There's my GX7700n Trans ICM that you would receive by an email or from an email here at Conde from support. And to install it, you just right click on it, and you're going to copy. You're going to go to your hard drive, and you can get to it several ways. You can go to your computer, double click on hard drive, click on library, and then find color sync, and then profiles, and then right click and paste the item. And it may ask you for a password, and then OK, and X out. Once you have the profile in that folder, you will be able to open, or you'll need to open your imaging software. If you have already opened it, close it and reopen it, otherwise you will not see it. So you want to make sure you close it if you need to and reopen it. And the way you close it, just quit and don't save, and then reopen it. edit. Now this is Elements 10. This setup will work for many of the Elements versions. So now what you need to do at this point is create a new file or a new blank file. I like to change my resolution higher as if I'm going to print, but I'm not really going to print, but I do want to emphasize it's important to have a good resolution of 200 or 300. RGB transparent is what I use. Choose your size or create a custom size if you want. You could go 8.5 tab 11 tab, and then OK. Name your document if you want, and then OK. Now you got to put something on the page so that we can get to the print settings. So now you're ready to go to your edit and color settings, where you're going to choose always optimize for printing and then click OK. If you haven't selected that, make sure you select it. We're going to go to File and open our print dialog box, where we're going to choose our printer and our page size, our print size, and then from more options, you may want to mirror your image here, but with the 10.7.4 version of the Mac, you can also flip your image permanently on the driver, and I'll show you how to do that. And if you're one of those people who'd rather flip it in the application, you want to make sure you flip it here and don't select it on the driver. If you select it in both places, it does a complete turnaround and it will not flip the image. It contradicts the other. So make sure that you choose it only in one place. If you flip it here, you're only flipping it for the one document. And with every document thereafter, you would have to flip image. So decide how you want to do it. If you flip it on the driver, it's a permanent setting. It will flip every time. And so to unmirror the image, you would have to come in here and flip it so that it contradicts if you were printing the glass, like cutting boards or something like that, where the image goes on the back. So hopefully that's not too confusing, but if you have any questions about what I'm talking about with mirroring the image, make sure you give us a call at Conde. Now you want to go to your color management settings. And from here, your color handling is always going to be Photoshop Elements manages color. And you want to make sure that your profile is installed at this point, because this is where you're going to get it. You want to choose your GXe Dye Trans High Quality version 4A ICM and change your rendering intent to perceptual and click OK. You're done in this box. Now we want to go to our print settings, and to do that you want to click Print. If you do not see all this information, make sure you choose your printer, okay, from your printer field, and then choose Show Details. Otherwise you won't be able to get to the settings. Okay, so now as a default you're going to see Layout. We're going to change that to Printer Features. From here we're going to make sure your feature sets are on a Setup, and we're going to leave this on color. As you can see, you only have two choices. Make sure it's on color, or it will print only black and white. Paper type is plain, but we're going to change it to inkjet plain paper, and that's okay. You're going to see that come up. That's okay. So click Continue. It's just changing it from bidirectional to unidirectional because of the print quality that changes with this setting. Your resolution is 600 dpi. Make sure you leave it there. There's no need to add a higher dpi. People ask that question often, so it's not necessary. Your economy color is off, and that's the way we want it. So leave that off. Now we're just going to go through some other settings here just to show you what it's about. Your dithering is on photographic. We're going to use error diffusion. Your color profile is on presentation. That's fine. Photographic's fine as well. And now we're going to go to adjust color density. This is your levels, and they're normally by default on 5. We're going to leave them there as well. And then we're going to printer configuration, and none of these things here that we change. Alright, and just to move around a little bit, we're going to go back to layout. I'm sorry, not layout, but paper handling. and this is a feature you have for choosing the page order and things like that, which we don't use. Okay, so everything by default is selected fine in here. Your paper feed, auto select, that's the way I recommend it. Now you can choose only a bypass tray setting if you want, or tray 1. If you by tradition print to the bypass tray, I recommend just setting it up to feed through the bypass tray, and then you can come in and select an auto tray select or tray 1 if you tend to only on occasion print out of or away from the bypass tray. So I would choose my default settings to be the way I print on a everyday basis for the most part. So I'm going to leave this on, I'm going to change this to auto tray select. Okay, let's see, cover page, nothing to do here. Back to printer features, and color density, we did that. Everything's right here, and then setup. Economy color off, everything's set up correctly, and now we're ready to save our setting. Okay, I just like to make sure everything's done. Alright, so we're going to drop down the presets, and we're going to save current setting as preset, and we're going to call it Conde ICC. And only for this printer, we don't want to change it for any other printer on your system, so make sure that's selected. Click OK, and from here you could print. If you have a graphic or something up, you're ready to print. I'm not going to print. I don't need to print, but if you're ready to print, you would, or just cancel out. If you cancel out, make sure when you do print that you go back in to File, Print, and then choose your printer, check your print, click your print box, wait for it to open. I selected it, but make sure it opens, and then drop down your presets and choose the Conde ICC. Once you print, it'll save and keep it there on that preset. So that's how you make sure you do that. Now, if you're going to flip your image permanently here, make sure you check that box as well and save it with your settings. You'll see that under the layout page. So that's important as well. If you choose to flip your image here and not in the application, by default, it'll flip it every time if you save it on your driver that way. So again, this is Vicky with Conde Systems, setting up the GXe7700, the new Ricoh printer here at Conde, with ICC color management settings in Photoshop Elements, and setting up the driver configurations as well as the digital imaging configurations for our settings here at Conde Systems. My name is Vicky, and as always, thank you for your time.